Jesus and the apostles can hardly find a break. Why? Why are so many people coming to them? God is being revealed in his Son, in the apostles, and they want to be part of that experience. They bring all kinds of people to them with all kinds of maladies and illnesses and difficulties, and they find healing. And we hear how today it's overwhelming for the apostles, for Jesus sees this. And he takes them away. But even there, and I find it so interesting that evidently they go by boat to the other part of the lake, the Sea of Galilee, and everybody else gets there faster than they do. So you kind of wonder what kind of transportation means they had, what kind of storm was on the water or rough waters or why it was that way. But the much more important thing is people keep coming. Today on this feast of Paul Miki, I think about what they encountered. They, Paul Miki and others. You might recall St. Francis Xavier was one of the first missionaries to Japan. And after him, others would follow. And it was not easy. The Jesuits first, and then the Franciscans. In fact, there was a little rivalry. Fancy that in the Catholic Church. We might have a little rivalry. Who's going to convert more? Who's going to have more missions and missionaries? But much more importantly, again, they were bringing Jesus, and people recognized that. And for the people of Japan, a conversion began. And it was small at first. And today the church celebrates what happens with this group of martyrs, where 26 would be martyred, and a gruesome martyrdom. They would be crucified. They would be tortured. They would be pierced with the lance on the cross as they hung there. And after that, rather than Christianity being quelled, it became more and more increasingly being accepted. More missionaries came, what was very difficult. And this would go on for hundreds of years. If you read the history of Christianity in Japan in the 1600s, 1700s, 1800s, it goes back and forth. Accepted, persecuted, accepted, persecuted. Why? Why? Because people are hungry for God. People were hungry for Jesus. People were hungry for the sacraments. And that continues today, whether we talk about Japan or any other part of the world. And so we pray today that as Jesus called the apostles back to regroup, you might say, to rest a while, they knew the mission was even more. And they were willing to do that. And we hear this beautiful image of Jesus as a shepherd, seeing all as sheep, all in need. And he responds, not only by himself, but with others, his apostles, disciples, missionaries. You and me are called to be part of that experience. So I invite you this morning to pray for the missionaries in Omaha, the missionaries in Nebraska, the missionaries across our country and around our world where people are hungry for God. And it begins conversion one by one. To such a point that you see someone like Paul Miki, who at the end can only say he believes this is victory. He believes this is what God wanted for him. And he will pray for his persecutors, even as he's being crucified. He saw Jesus. He followed in his footsteps, literally in the way of the cross.